Okay, so as I walk along here, I wanted to just give you all some clear understanding from the view of God, Goddess. On Earth, that's what you guys call us, but those of us who've come from other planets who have the capability of using a starship and coming to another planet is what Earth people have called gods or goddesses. And I'm going to give you our view because a lot of this has to do with mediation. When I'm here on Earth as a mediator, a big part of my work, and since I come from another planet, and this is one of the planets that I have to take care of, I am placed into lots of situations in order for me to help everyone, not just people who are of a high rank. In fact, it's extremely important when you're the third level, especially as you evolve from first and second level. If once you go through your first Saturn return and you're able to actually get centered and you know that you're in the world and what you're here for, then you start to, so third level of that is where basically as a human being, if you're really paying attention and using the proper divination systems and so forth, that you're able to actually activate all kinds of things that are happening on Earth. So basically, on the Earth level, everyone wants to take credit and wants to do things. And they do it from a very ego perspective because they believe they're the body, they believe that they're the mind, they have this attachment and identification as themselves being a body and a mind. And I think what's really important to understand is that when you're a god or goddess, for us, we're doing everything. We're doing everything, but it doesn't appear that way because the individual ego sees it as separation. And so that's where the work is. The work down here on the earth plane, and right now today I'll give you an example, is that I was meant to be on a very basic plane recently, just now over the last several days, because I was being called to go and spend time with the roots of life. And for someone with ego, they would see this as, look, you got knocked down. See, you deserve it. You're look at what you did. And they'll make fun of me. But what I see is that this contraction is part of something that's going to expand greatly. And this is something that you could all say is kind of like the sigma female, sigma male. You know, you could use that term. But the bottom line is that when you're an ascended master, as I am, someone who has literally come from another planet and is here to help all of you, it's also helping myself. It actually is, because I've taken to the opportunity of coming into a body, into a human body, and living here. And my work is really to advance human consciousness, because even if all of you followed me literally, what you would do is you would pretend that you were from another planet. You'd pretend that you were psychic CEOs. You would pretend that until eventually it would come true. Now, I want to comment on something that Vanessa Simayina, because she's someone who I had made a soul contract with. She had asked for my help, and she's not even aware of it, even though she calls herself a psychic. But the thing is, the reason why that's the case is because there's still ego there, and the reason people use all the divination, the tarot and all that, hey, what a cutie, hey cutie, is the reason they do that is because they need to learn how to be psychic. And being psychic really, with the Saturn in Pisces right now, being psychic is really important. It's actually really the way everyone is heading, because in this Pisces, in this age of Pluto Aquarius, which is the physical manifestation, the first generation of, which is called Generation Alpha, but the first physical generation of those who come from the stars. And it's basically being aware of the fact that we are from the stars. And that's the implanted knowledge that I'm accessing and offering you all, is to help you to achieve that. And what that means is that we don't need these cell phones. Like, all this time I've been here, I've been like, oh my God, when are they going to catch up, you know? Because it's true. When you're in a human form and you really know your origins, you know where you're from, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, what the heck? Vehicles that drive on land, you know, these boxes we carry in our hands, we call them cell phones. All of this, from the view of us that are, this is like our archaeology. It's like going back in time, and historically we did have an age like this, and I think it's important that this is the humbling part, is to know that mostly every planet goes through the same evolution. And when those of us who come from having implanted and created this planet for others to live, you know, we've had to be very, very, very patient. Now just imagine if you can't be patient enough to wait for a bus or do this or that on the earth. But you can be patient. If you can't be patient for that, you can't even imagine what it's like to be patient for humanity to wake up to a point where they just realize certain things that they really, really genuinely need to realize, like, don't kill. I mean, this is something that now it hasn't even, humanity, sure, humanity hasn't even, you need a bell. Humanity doesn't even need to, hasn't even learned. You know, humanity has not learned, human animals have not learned the most basic thing, which is to not be harmful to each other, not be harmful to the environment, not be harmful to the body. I mean, this has taken a really long time, and for Earth in particular, it really has. I'm being honest with you all. This planet Earth has been the slowest in the lot that we've had to deal with, and so it's not easy, because there's got to be pressure. There has to be pressure. If pressure isn't there, a lot of the time, I mean, it's not for all of us, because some of us, you know, we're beyond that. But I'm not talking about. I'm talking about, you know, gods and goddesses is a different story, but because we don't have like gravity and things like that, we have different dimensions. But the human animal needs to understand that for them especially, you can't just allow people to just do things. You have to pressure them to make decisions, because they're not going to do it on their own, unfortunately. And that's what a lot of the information and important practices, that why it is I've never really cared about being famous or anything, because when I've been given the opportunity to be famous in the human context, and then people think I'm so arrogant because I break the rules all the time. But the reason for that is because the rules are really bad. They're not good rules. So that's a big part of it. And I want to help people to understand that if you get too high up there and you're not acknowledging, that you automatically have to come down. But that is part of the process, and you shouldn't be hard on each other and yourselves for doing that, because that is part of the process. When you go up high, you got to go down low. And when you go down low, you've got to really learn those lessons, you know. So none of these lessons, I mean, I know that it looks that way, and I know that you guys would like to think that, but none of these lessons are lessons that I actually have to learn from who I am. I'm just experiencing what you all are experiencing in order to bring some relational material. It's important that you have something to relate to. So, like Vanessa starting to get some idea about extraterrestrials. Like she got so scared that she had to throw me off of her platform when I started speaking about our starships and stuff. And this is about creating a conversation where people will stop thinking that it's so unusual. This is not so unusual. This is very, very natural. It's a natural progression to start using starships and being able to, fly and stuff like that. That's a natural progression. And so you have to start with the conversation. The conversation leads to the physical manifestation of that. So that's why. So I'm hoping that helps all of you to pay attention to what's happening. Many of you aren't even aware of some of the developments because you're not privileged to be that close to the sources of where these things are coming from, including Vanessa. And so I want to just mention that to you because, like, for example, if you're using tarot cards, you're still working on becoming a psychic CEO yourself. So that's really important to acknowledge. Okay. Love you all so much. Be well, be blessed.